To continue where I left off on my last video, once you have acknowledged, accepted, come to terms with, and realize there is no wall to break, once you use the rules to your advantage, bend them, break the rules, or realize the rules of this dimension do not have absolute authority over the one operating this dimension's form. Everything is relative. Now, I would like to take this fundamental realization and acknowledgement and apply it towards pain, but also healing. The rules in mathematics of what happens here. Now that we have flirted with the reality that our physical senses, in a way, are a program that projects for us a delusional reality so we can play the game of the third dimension, the fourth dimension, the fifth dimension, and the sixth. Energy. With the NAF, or ego identification, aside, coming to terms with this realization and validation that we are in a unified field of energy. Though our senses demand and convince, like dogma, us to believe as creator beings, which we will then through the ego make real, that we are individuals in an environment of multilarity individuals. But in truth, the entire multilarities are one unified, absolute totality, singularity, including consciousness, physical matter, the mental dimension of invisible thoughts, which you may have noticed or you may not have at this point. Many of the programs and thoughts habitually running through your own mind with your own voice are not and never were actually authentic to you. You did not create them. Like, for example, a child who grows up in a racist environment and grows up to be an adult without ever questioning what they have learned, unconsciously goes through the rest of their life believing that it is their idea that one race is superior to another. But this idea of racism was the idea of another, inauthentically adopted by this child. But to speak on healing and pain, I'll start with pain. To the street fighter, kung fu master, or martial artist, whom has trained their fists to become, mostly in a safe manner, indifferent to the pain when conditioning your knuckles to something you perceive as separate from you and also denser, like wood or metal, something that is not as pliable as bone. You learn through these practices, which, to be fair, is much like cutting, because conditioning your knuckles in street fighting is causing self-harm to a degree. If you do not go so far as to break the bone, the damage you cause, much like a weightlifter, ripping and tearing the muscles so they grow back bigger and adapt. The bones, when hitting metal or wood, if you're not completely destroying them and breaking them, the injuries caused force it to adapt and condition, getting used to hitting metal and wood. The energy, if now, as I said, when we close our eyes and take away the third dimensional rules, everything I've said so far is a translation of the senses in the mind, which is a sense, to the being, the consciousness itself. But in reality, everything I said, pain, the conditioning, the hardening of the bone, is all a frequency, a spectrum, a vibration of energy, one different than the other. When you experience pain and compare it to when you are experiencing something not painful, the difference in the energy is just a spectrum change of frequency, pitch, and tone. Now, to the mind, it is translated as pain, a warning signal to stop. But if you can become indifferent, bend the rules, break them, without breaking your hand, if you are careful, you can develop a dragon fist that, unlike the average person, a street fighter who trains his hands without gloves, the bone in your hands becomes comparable to the metal, as comparable as bone can become. I don't know if you've ever seen Bruce Lee or Joe Louis's knuckles, but they're the size of golf balls and probably denser than cement. Now, healing, I see that I'm about to get cut off by my time. Healing is much the same if you look at when you feel good versus when you have injury. This is a spectrum, tone, frequency change in the energy field you call that part of your body which is injured or not. Remember, there's always a choice. To the master of the self, your energy is here to obey you.